Picture this. Let's say you are standing in a jewelry shop looking at a gold chain for a wedding. Your family is planning a foreign trip. Your phone is open to flight prices, and somewhere far above all of that, a war is quietly deciding how expensive your life is going to become. That is the uncomfortable reality behind the Prime Minister's appeal. It was not a random moral lecture. It was a warning that the things we treat as personal choices can suddenly become national economic pressure points. And that is why his statement hit so hard. Because when a Prime Minister says postpone gold purchases and avoid unnecessary foreign travel, he is not just talking about the luxury.
देश हित में हमको ये तय करना पड़ेगा कि साल भर तक घर में कोई भी फंक्शन हो, कोई भी कार्यक्रम हो, हम सोने के गहने नहीं खरीदेंगे, सोना नहीं खरीदेंगे.
He's talking about dollars leaving India at a time when every rupee is under stress. This is not some abstract macroeconomic story that lives only inside the TV studios and RBI reports. If India spends more on importing gold, on importing oil and foreign travel, the pressure eventually lands in your life. The rupee weakens, imported goods gets costlier, inflation gets stickier, the government gets less breathing room, and suddenly the price of your phone, your fuel, your holiday, and even the cost of your wedding can feel like they are all connected to something happening thousands of kilometers away. Reuters reported that India's trade deficit widened sharply in April of 2026 as crude oil imports surged, with the import bill rising to $71.94 billion. Oil imports jumping 53% and gold imports rising 84%. Now that is the kind of number that does not stay on the spreadsheet. It spills into the real life. So when Modi ji asks people to skip gold for a year and cut unnecessary foreign travel, he was essentially saying, for 12 months, think like a country, not just like a consumer. That is a very different message from a normal political speech. And in a country where gold is not just an asset but an emotion, a culture, savings and status all at once, that message was always going to trigger a reaction, and everyone was ready for it. To understand this, you have to see the real protagonist in the story. It is not our Prime Minister, it is India's foreign exchange balance. On 11th of May 2026, at the inauguration of a hostel in Vadodara, Gujarat, the Prime Minister made an unusual appeal. He linked the three things together: fuel use, gold purchases and foreign travel. He asked people to reduce petrol and diesel use where possible, to work from home more and to use virtual meetings, to postpone buying gold until conditions normalize, and to avoid unnecessary foreign trips and destination weddings abroad.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has issued an appeal to citizens, calling it the need of the hour. Prime Minister Modi has urged citizens to help conserve India's foreign exchange reserves. The Prime Minister has appealed to people to use fuel efficiently and prefer public transport and avoid buying new foreign products. He has also urged citizens to avoid buying gold and defer foreign travel for at least a year. Families to reduce edible oil consumption, and on farmers, cut chemical fertilizer usage by 50%.
Now this speech sounds simple if you hear it casually, but underneath it is a very important specific crisis. India imports a large share of the oil it consumes. India is of course an oil dependent country and oil import dependent country. And Reuters reported that the Iran war had pushed oil prices up and increased pressures on India's balance of payment and also rupee. Now in the same week, Reuters also reported that India's imports over 80% of its crude oil and around 60% of its cooking gas, which means every geopolitical shock in West Asia becomes a direct bill in India, which means it becomes a direct bill for India. So the story begins like this. A conflict outside India starts raising India's import bill inside India, and when that happens, the government looks for the fastest way to reduce foreign exchange outflow. That is where the gold and travel enter into picture. Now comes the part where most people miss. Why gold? Because gold is one of India's most beloved imports, but it does not produce much immediate economic productivity, which is why it is deeply woven into weddings, festivals, family savings and social status. Reuters noted that India meets almost nearly all of its domestic gold demand through imports, and that the country is the world's second largest gold consumer. In the fiscal year ending March 2026, India spent a record $84 billion on gold and silver imports, up from $35.5 billion a decade later. And that is not a small leak, that is a flood. And here is the surprise. The government did not just ask or restrained in words. Reuters reported 2 days later that India raised tariffs on gold and silver to 15%. from 6% to curb imports and ease pressure on foreign exchange reserves, as the Iran war strained the balance of payments of India. So the appeal was not a symbolic one. It was a part of a wider effort to slow down import demand. Now think about what our Prime Minister was really doing. He was not saying gold is bad. He was saying the timing is bad. There is a huge difference in that. In a stable economy, people buy gold because it is a cultural habit. In a stressed economy, the same habit turns into a national burden. And this is exactly why the speech also mentioned foreign travel and destination weddings abroad. See, the Prime Minister was pointing out to another silent outflow of dollars in our country, which is the money spent outside India on holidays, on hotels, on air tickets, big events that could have happened at home. Now, PIB's transcript says that he directly questioned why, when India has so many beautiful places, families still rush abroad for vacations and weddings. Why there is the case? And here's the second surprise. This is not just about rich people taking vacations. Even middle class aspiration matters a lot. A few lakh rupees there multiplied by millions of households becomes a macroeconomic problem. And that is how foreign exchange gets drained. Not by one giant decision, but by countless normal decisions made at the same point of time by numerous people. And the timing made it more serious. Reuters also reported that the rupee was under pressure, the trade deficit was widening, and the market was already worried about a larger balance of payments gap in our country. And when the external account gets weak, please understand, even a culturally normal gold buying season or a travel boom starts looking like a national risk. This is a very, very important point which we should not miss. So what is India's position in all this? That is the question. That is a likely next question which you might be asking me. See, India is not helpless in this case, but India is vulnerable, we have to say this. That is why the government's response had multiple layers to it. On one side, the PM asked households to reduce avoidable imports through personal behavior. They said less gold, fewer foreign trips, more domestic travel, more virtual meetings, more work from home. So these personal behavior things needs to be done. On the other side, policy moved towards tighter import control, including higher tariffs on gold and silver. Reuters also reported that the officials were trying to protect foreign exchange reserves while the broader external account came under strain from energy prices. So the opportunity here is actually bigger than the headline. Because if India can channel even a fraction of that spending towards domestic tourism, local products and Indian services, the same money can keep circulating inside the economy instead of leaving it. That is why the speech bundled gold with vocal for local. It was not a random ideology. It was an attempt to turn consumer nationalism into economic insulation. And this is where the whole debate becomes more honest. When people here don't buy gold or don't travel abroad, they often hear it as a restriction on our personal freedom. I'm very sure that you must have felt the same way. But from the state's point of view, it is a balance of payments emergency message. Please understand this. India imports nearly all of its gold, a large share of energy, and even its travel choices often involves dollar leaving the country. And when global conditions turn hostile, these dollar outflows stop being harmless lifestyle choices and becomes pressure on nation's financial stability. And here is the one line that matters a lot. The PM was not asking Indians to become poorer. He was asking them to stop making the country poorer through avoidable dollar outflows. That is the real insight. In a crisis, patriotism is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like postponing a gold purchase. Sometimes it looks like choosing Goa over Greece, Jaipur over Dubai, and a video call over a flight. And sometimes it looks like understanding that rupee is not protected only by RBI action or government speeches. It is also protected by millions of small decisions made inside Indian homes. And maybe the most quotable way to say it is like this. In a country that imports its energy, its gold, and a part of its lifestyle, self-reliance is not just about making things in India. It is also about spending wisely for India. That is why the speech matters beyond the politics of the day. And it is the reminder that the line between personal consumption and national economics is much thinner than we like to believe. One wedding, one vacation, one gold chain may feel private, but when millions of people move in the same direction at once, it becomes a national import bill. So here is the real question. If a gold chain, a foreign holiday, a tank of petrol can all affect some same national balance sheet, then who is really responsible for India's economic future? The government alone or all of us together? Do let me know the answer of this question in the comment section. I'll be happy to read your comments. All the very best and have a beautiful day. Thank you.